The Park Hyatt Kuala Lumpur, which opened this past August after years of anticipation, is now the second highest hotel in the world. My room was on the 108th floor. Combine that height with Park Hyatt's general excellence, especially in Southeast Asia, and my expectations and hopes were sky high, pun intended. You can take a stab at whether it lived up to that. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Kevin. I'm here to give you a self-funded and honest look at some of the best, most unique, or simply most popular airlines and hotels in the world, which I've been bringing to full-time for going on 5 years. Scan the QR code to learn more about the channel, check out my Malaysia playlist for many more hotel videos, and subscribe for many more to come. Let's get into the tour. This is Merdeka 118. Merdeka coming from the word for independence in Malay, and 118 referring to the number of floors. Ground broke for its construction way back in 2014, and 11 years later, we have finally been given a brand new Park Hyatt. In a city which is having a bit of a desperately needed hotel renaissance at the moment. They're not all open yet, but by 2030, Kuala Lumpur will have a much more diverse selection of hotels. I'll be covering a few more of them this summer. Out of all of the brands of hotels that I've covered on the channel, I feel like I've given quite a bit of praise to Park Hyatt over the years, and rightfully so. This is my 8th Park Hyatt review. When I was brainstorming the title of this video and the thumbnail, I was torn between a reference to IKEA, world's tallest IKEA perhaps, or what I settled on, OMG. OMG because, oh my god, this is a stunning property and concept. And also, OMG because, oh my god, this was one of the most disappointing hotel stays that I've had in quite a while. And the worst kind of disappointment. It doesn't come from a single mishap or interaction. It comes from the execution of the full package, and I'm not alone in my thoughts. As I share what I mean, let's head inside and begin the journey upstairs. In total, it takes around 4.5 minutes to get from the ground level to the rooms. First, you'll be greeted with a somewhat unfinished and I could be anywhere skyscraper lobby. Take the imposing escalator up to the second lobby, but that's not the actual lobby. From there, take an elevator up to the 75th floor where the real lobby is. The lobby and food and beverage venues are on the 75th floor. The pool and spa are on the 99th, and the rooms are on 100 through 112. Though at the time of my stay, 108 was the top operational floor. I'm not sure I've ever seen such a divide on a new property. Matthew from Live and Let's Fly said, quote, "The Park Hyatt Kuala Lumpur has exceeded my lofty expectations," unquote. Ben from 1 Mile at a Time said, quote, "This is easily my favorite Hyatt property I've ever stayed at, as there's so much to love about this hotel, from the design to the height to the amenities to the food and beverage outlets to the service. If I didn't have a family, I might just stay here forever and never go home. As a hotel and hospitality geek, this property checks so many boxes, and I couldn't help but smile just being here," unquote. I have absolutely no reason to doubt either of their assessments. We all have different experiences. Both of them were upgraded to suites, which may be one reason why neither saw issues with wear and tear and cheap material usage like countless other reviews mention. I guess it pays to be known. If you just Google Park Hyatt Kuala Lumpur wear and tear, you'll kinda see what I mean. I even have 2 Patreons who stayed here before I did. One praised it, and one could not believe the finishing quality. I arrived just before 12 noon, and the very friendly front desk agent, genuinely one of the best staff at the hotel, let me know that my room wasn't ready yet. As friendly as he was though, there were quite a few missing pieces throughout the check-in process. For example, what room category I was actually being given. But things like that I can chalk up to nerves and growing pains, and I don't really fault them for it. I was escorted to the park lounge and invited to sit down, but not at the table against the window, which was reserved. I was offered a welcome beverage from the menu, which took 19 minutes to be delivered. despite staff asking me 3 times if my order had been taken yet. My first impressions of the build quality and attention to detail were in this little corner of the Park Lounge, and they were not encouraging. From the countless scratches on the floor, some actually taking the finish off, to the holes in the pillows, the crumbling grout lines, and loads of crumbs on the floor, my hour-long stay here was not inspiring. As I mentioned though, things weren't all bad, not by a long shot. Let's head up to the 99th floor to take a peek at some of the facilities. This is the spa reception, which will lead us out to the indoor pool. The interiors were designed by London-based GA Group and were meant to incorporate Malay cultural elements such as intricate batik patterns and songket motifs, noting inspiration by Malay kampung or village houses. The interiors are beautiful, I'll happily give you that, but please don't tell me that all of this is Malay-inspired design. Besides the usage of engraved brass panels throughout the hotel in a batik pattern, I really don't see much of anything that feels really Malaysian, which I think is a missed opportunity. The Park Hyatts in Bangkok and Jakarta, I think, are both great examples of what that modern Park Hyatt aesthetic can look like with a distinct sense of place. Here, not so much. The 30-meter-long pool overlooks the best views around the tower, which on a cloudy or smoggy day are not necessarily visible. Here's a shot of that same view at a different time. Inside the spa, there were Himalayan salt rooms and hydrotherapy areas. Before we take a look at some of the other venues, I want to talk a bit about the location, because it's different. I'll restrain myself a bit here because the location itself is actually very significant. It is just behind Stadium Merdeka, which is where Malaysia's independence was declared in 1957. In fact, the design of the building itself is meant to emulate the Prime Minister's gesture as he declared independence. So my gripes about the location have nothing to do with that. It's simply very isolated. On a map, it's a bit deceiving because it looks like the tower is very close to Chinatown. And it is, but there's practically nothing that you can actually walk to within 10 minutes, especially now before the giant mall at the tower has opened. The closest walkable site is Central Market. For just about everything else, you'll need transport. And Grab can take you to most places on your list in 15 minutes or less, assuming no traffic. Because it isn't smack in the middle of the downtown core surrounded by other skyscrapers, I think the views, while they are spectacular, didn't feel as expected. I felt more far away from the other notable buildings rather than towering over them. Actually, the view looks a lot like when you're landing at an airport near a city center. Before we take a tour of my room, let's take a look at the Merdeka Grill, which is their flagship restaurant. Both Merdeka Grill and Park Lounge were fully booked for dinner on the night that I was there, but they were able to squeeze me in for an early dinner at Park Lounge. I'd expect this to be a common theme for the next year or so, as most, more like the vast majority, of guests dining seem to be guests coming in to see the view, not necessarily staying at the hotel. Design-wise overall, I think the 3 venues on this floor are the highlight. Merdeka Grill reminds me quite a bit of the room design at the Park Hyatt Jakarta, with a distinct modern New York steakhouse flair to it. Okay, let's head up to the 108th floor to take a tour of my room. I was upgraded to a non-view corner room. Non-view as in, it wasn't on the side looking towards the Petronas Towers and such. I'll say that the vast majority of my complaints about the property are inside this room, but I'll consolidate them all at the end of the tour so you can enjoy the room for what it is at first, a pretty stunning hotel room. Because of the many facets of the building, clad in its 18,144 diamond-shaped glass panels, I think it's safe to say that there are at least a few dozen different room shapes here among the 252 rooms and suites. As I let you look around some of the features of the room, I'll put up the extra bits and come back to you in a few minutes. If you're enjoying the video and would like to support the channel, there are many ways that you could do so. A quick like on the video and subscribe helps videos with the algorithm. You could join my YouTube channel memberships to get early access to some videos and access to all of my community posts. Or you could check out my Patreon where I post the most and can help you out with any travel related questions. Whatever you do, thanks for doing it. I asked in a few of my videos some months ago whether I should change how I score hotel videos. I've always scored based on the price that I paid in the context of the local hotel market, but I asked if I should base my score on a more general price over the course of the year. So this now is my happy medium. I will continue to score as I always have, but I'll also tell you what the price range is for the base room over the course of the next year, and you can decide for yourself whether it's worth those prices. To get that, I search for the price on the second Thursday of every month directly from Hyatt. The price I paid and the price range is the lowest refundable rate available. I paid $357, which for Kuala Lumpur is very high. Generally, the only hotels that have ever had that pricing are the Four Seasons and occasionally the W. Not considering the Merdeka 118 location, I think this Park Hyatt falls into the low 200s based on their competition. Add in the views, the exclusivity, and the newness of the hotel, and I think $265 is a fair ask. I think it's pretty clear that from a bit of a distance and without touching the materials, that it's kinda hard to believe that I racked up 8 minutes of detailed video clips just showing off finishings that are a disservice to the Park Hyatt brand. As we look around in detail, keep in mind that this floor specifically was open 1 or 2 weeks prior to my stay. The majority of the issues had to do with the execution of the wood laminate veneer and the very cheap hollow core wood materials used throughout the room, with too many instances to count of exposed MDF cores or botched repairs to the laminate. While the rest of the world is all into soft closed doors and draws, the Park Hyatt much prefers other kinds of mechanisms, which mean a door doesn't want to close, or a draw or half dozen that are misaligned and need to be pushed closed, or doors that love to scrape the ceiling, or doors that can't be closed, or doors that are just really angry. Mind your fingers. Then there are the floors. The carpets are visibly fraying, and the laminate floors have all sorts of nicks, marks, and stains on them. Difficult to see on camera, but there were some round spots all over the place which just didn't wipe away, like someone dripped chemicals all over the floor. What does wipe away though, with, water, is all of the dirt and grime on the floors themselves. Who out there loves dirty feet? I called to ask to have the floors cleaned, something that I don't think I've ever done before. And they were cleaned again, and I'm using air quotes on that one because when I came back, I did a bit of a swab test, and if they were cleaned, well, somehow they made them worse. Continuing on, there were loads of small hardware issues, like the hooks falling off the walls, in this case holding up a frayed bathrobe. Then there was the bath support rail, which just wasn't really in the mood for offering too much support. The sofa, which squeaks more than an 80-year-old door hinge. And air vents, which were simply never finished. Then there was just the hollowness of it all. Perhaps there's a metaphor in there somewhere. The shower tiles were full of scratches and dents. The hallway carpeting was consistently dirty. And it just felt like my room was sponsored by SV Casa. Am I nitpicking? Yes, because someone has to. After dinner, I briefly spoke to the duty manager. I asked her to step aside and began asking her about guest feedback about the room quality, before catching myself and noting out loud that I know she can't answer that. And so I just explained how much I genuinely do love the brand and how the in-room finishes were truly doing it a disservice. This mega hotel for Kuala Lumpur, in the second tallest skyscraper on Earth, and you're gonna cheap out on every material in the room? I told her, and this is literally true, the materials used in the rooms of the Hyatt-centric Kuala Lumpur, which I've been to multiple times, were of higher quality. That hotel typically goes for $100 a night. I also explained my poor dinner experience, which I'll get into now. Park Lounge, which is separated into multiple, more intimate spaces, is a beautiful design and clever layout. I sat down and my waiter greeted me with "Stiller Sparkling," blurted out before he even came to a stop. "Oh, I'm doing very well, how about you?" is what I should have said. I started off with the spring rolls, which were burnt and had the distinct flavor of acrid old oil. Not to mention how cheap they were with the ingredients. I used to make and serve spring rolls at one of my restaurants, and let me tell you, 3 spring rolls with only carrot, daikon, and woodier mushrooms inside are not meant to impress. They're meant to make money. Halfway through one of them, I flagged someone down and asked if I could change to another appetizer, specifically noting I'll pay for both. As I was asking for that, 5 minutes and 20 seconds after my appetizer came out, my main came out as well. I said, okay, just forget it with the appetizer, I'll stick with the main. I ordered the beef dendeng, beautifully shown off on the menu here. What I got though was a bowl of seriously spicy beef slop, half of which was gristle and the like, swimming in chili oil, possibly plated from a distance. Now we're gonna head to Cacao, their chocolate-themed cocktail bar and lounge. After my conversation with the duty manager, she insisted on wanting to do something to make things right. I kindly refused. When I give feedback on the spot, it comes from a place of, I really want you just to improve this. And I've found that over the years, the best way to communicate that intention is to not get anything in return. It might sound slightly out of place in a more negative video like this one, but I do see myself as on the side of the hotel. If at all possible, I would like for them to do well and for me to show them doing well. That said, she was very good at her job and insisted at the very least to host me for a drink at Cacao. Service at the bar was fantastic, but service in general at the hotel was the most consistently inconsistent that I've ever seen. Staff were either genuinely amazing or had me questioning, why on earth are you working in hospitality? It was a divide as striking as Merdeka 118 herself. Luckily, we're going to end on a high note as the breakfast spread was very good. My only issue with breakfast was the staffing levels. There was only one server that I could see working alone until 7 a.m., when like 10 others began working, and there were at least 8 to 10 tables before that time. Coffee again took 20 minutes, but at least this time I could see why. There's a very nice buffet spread, along with an a la carte menu. From the menu, I ordered the roti canai, the salty egg buns, and an incredibly flavorful and hearty noodle dish which appears to not be on their breakfast menu anymore. The wonton cracker on top suffering the same fate as my spring rolls the night before. Overall, they're coming in at an 8. So this was a bit of a gut punch of disappointment for me. I've been waiting for this property to open since it was announced back in 2018. At this price point in KL, with this brand, I don't think it's too much to ask for quality materials, clean rooms, and consistent service. The sad part to me is that most of the issues that I identified have nothing to do with the growing pains of a new hotel. Again, keep in mind that the floor that I was on was newer than the hotel itself. I'm horrified to think about what the room conditions will be in 3, 4, or 5 years. So many corners were cut, for the 50th Park Hyatt globally nonetheless. I don't think this will actually happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if 5 years from now, there was either truly a major renovation, or it left the Park Hyatt portfolio altogether. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So I do hope that you enjoyed and found this hotel tour today useful. If you did, please be sure to click the like button and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss my twice weekly videos. I'll see you next time on Tap Portugal from Sao Paulo to Paris. As always, thanks for watching until the end.